Now, Mr. O'Flynn, 2 minutes.
Thank you. The most curious aspect of the EU's trade dispute with the Trump administration is its enthusiasm for claiming the moral high ground, because the European Union is itself built on the ideology of barriers to trade. You are a customs union, so it's hardly logical to berate the United States of Europe for being one too. Indeed, it was recently admitted by the German think tank, the IFO Centre for International Economics, that the EU has a significantly worse record on tariff barriers than does the US. The EU unweighted customs duty an average 5.2%, while in the US it is just 3.5%. President Trump sees that America is running a $90 billion trade deficit with the EU and thinks he can force a better deal. So he is exerting leverage in the area of steel and aluminium, protecting his own producers. It will be interesting to see whether ultimately the EU takes a kinder stance towards him than it has so far taken towards Theresa May, who presides over a much larger UK trade deficit with the EU, but who has bent over backwards to be accommodating in Brexit negotiations, not only begging for a frictionless trade deal in such circumstances, but she is also paying up 40 billion of UK taxpayers' money to further sweeten things. And she not only says she won't have a hard border in Ireland, but she seems to be saying she must avoid doing anything that leads you to think you must impose a hard border in Ireland either. Yet still you kick sand in her face. In such circumstances, can anyone blame Mr. Trump for believing that the way to get a better deal for his country with the EU is to put the thumbscrews on you? And I'm sad to say I believe his tactics ultimately will bear a lot more fruit than Mrs. May's desperation to please has done thus far.
Thank you, Mr. O'Flynn. Would you accept a blue card from Mr. EHLER? Please, Mr. EHLER. Mr. O'Flynn, you said that the European Union is a customs union, but your arguments, I think, are a bit obscure. I mean, you're saying that the EU has high tariffs, but actually, I mean, they've been done away with between member states. So, you know, I think it's been very successful, actually.
Thank you for that question. As far as I'm aware, the United States of America is not yet a member of the European Union, and nor are more than 100 other countries around the world. And they have to trade with the European Union on the basis of external tariff barriers. So the point I'm making is it ill behoves the EU and everyone in this assembly to get on the moral high horse and berate other countries for imposing tariffs, when the whole ideology that brought the forerunner of the EU into being was one of external tariff barriers.